The Browns just got some good injury news going into week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, getting you guys ready for this Sunday's game. And in order to get ready for Sunday's game, we got to get through this week of practice, starting with the first day of practice, which is today, Wednesday, which included full-ish participation. Every single player for the Browns that is on the active 53-man roster was on the practice field, which is a great step forward as the Browns get ready for the Cowboys. But there were some limitations and hiccups that came with that. Let's start with Jedrick Wills, though. Probably the most notable name that I wouldn't say returned to practice, but made his practice debut, right? He was elevated from the PUP list onto the active 53-man roster, did not practice for the last week or so. However, he did practice today, which awesome, right? But then, well, we get this. Jedrick Wills saying he's not starting Sunday against the Cowboys. So, cat's out of the bag already. I'm not quite sure why this was information that had to be shared. Like, why not just keep the Cowboys guessing as to who they're facing week 1 at left tackle? Now, he did not say that he won't play week 1, just that he's not starting week 1, which kind of leads me to this next theory I have, which is we might see a possible rotation at the left tackle position between Wills and Jack Conklin. We saw this last year. Remember when DeJuan Jones kind of picked up a midseason injury before he sustained his season-ending injury, and he only went in for like third down and passing downs, played like half of the game? I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Conklin starts at left tackle, and then they alternate series between Conklin and Wills depending on how either one or both of their knees are faring, right? If Conklin goes out there for the first series and is like, hey, my knee is behaving just fine, like it's telling me, my body, that we can play this way, great, then we'll continue that path. But if Conklin comes to the bench after the first series or two, is like, I need a breather, then you see Jedrick Wills rotate in. So the fact that Jedrick Wills is not out for week 1, but just not starting, to me that signals Jack Conklin starting at left tackle, but a possible rotation at that position, since both guys are coming off major knee injury. Now, speaking of the former Michigan State Spartan, he was a somewhat limited participant at practice on Wednesday. So, according to a lot of the beat reporters at the open portion of the practice, Conklin was largely working to the side. I don't look at that as a step back or a hurdle or anything. I look at it as, hey, you've got a veteran player coming off a major knee injury who has been practicing all week long. Why not give him a little bit of a rest day, which we see for all veteran players during the regular season. So Conklin, somewhat of a limited participant in the open portion of the practice to the media on Wednesday. Not concerning on my end, but I think he's going to be your week 1 starter at left tackle, which it's important to nail that position down because Micah Parsons is coming to town. 14 sacks a year ago for Dallas. We know how disruptive Parsons is. There are a couple of guys that just deserve your unwavered attention when you step on the field offensively. Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa. 5 guys that offensive coordinators and offensive line coach have to prepare for, have to game plan around. Not a simple, hey, we're just going to go man-on-man with this defensive end for 4 quarters and see how we fare. No, that's not going to cut it. That's a recipe for disaster. So going up against Micah Parsons with a little bit of a platoon at left tackle, I've got 2 ideas. So Andy Dickerson, hope you're watching. Idea number 1, double team him. Like, as simple and as basic as that might sound, as a solution to a Micah Parsons problem, throw a tight end at him, chip him, put a running back on that side of the field, but throw 2 guys at Micah Parsons. Second idea, and this one's for Deshaun Watson, get the ball out of your hands as quickly as possible. There is nothing pass rushers hate more than when they get to the quarterback and find a mannequin with a jersey on and no football in his hands. They make their money from sacks. They cannot sack the quarterback if the ball is out in under 2 seconds, 9 times out of 10. The one exception is when you get guys like Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons. So they're going to get their wins. Like, I don't think you're going to completely eliminate Micah Parsons from this game, but you're trying to just reduce the damage, slow down the bleeding, and if you get the ball out quickly, there is no one for him to sack. Now, who do you guys want to start at left tackle? If you put injuries aside for a moment, Who do you think is the best starting left tackle on this team? The guy who's been playing that position since drafted in the first round, or the two-time All-Pro right tackle, Jack Conklin? Like, you can make fair arguments either side. For me, Jed Wills already saying he's not starting is a bummer because you want to get everyone as healthy as possible, as quickly as possible. But this might be one of those blessing in disguises because I think Conklin and DaWan Jones as your two starting tackles is probably the best tackle combination on this team. So next up on the show, I'm going to try and convince anyone that's a little bit on the pessimistic side about Conklin being a good starting left tackle that they should buy into this. So before we look at that, first I want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today when you download the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off your first purchase. So if you want to go catch a Browns game, say week 1 against the Cowboys, a Guardians game, a Cavs game, or any other sporting event, concert, or anything else that requires a ticket in your local area, download the Game Time app today, create an account, and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now let's talk about Conklin maybe playing left tackle. So for starters, I understand why a lot of you might be skeptical of moving him because it's not as simple as you think to move a guy from right tackle to left tackle or vice versa. However, I do think in Jack's case here, there should be a little bit of an exception. One, he was a 2-year starter at left tackle at Michigan State, where we know he played very well because he was the 8th overall pick in the draft by the Tennessee Titans, and his PFF grades hold up, so he had no issue playing that position in college. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to translate perfectly over to the NFL. A lot of times college players put their best offensive lineman at the left tackle position to protect their protect their quarterback's blind side. Now, Conklin at Michigan State, 3 sacks allowed, 3 penalties, and over 1,500 snaps at left tackle tells me that if he does have to go play that position, this is not going to be like learning a foreign language. This is going to be old habit for him. It's been a little while. He played a little bit of left tackle early on with the Tennessee Titans. He never started a full game at that position. He would just play a couple of snaps for a few weeks, I noticed, looking over the game logs. But he made the switch once with no problem going from the left side to the right side. I don't think it's going to be impossible for him to switch back. Is it going to be super easy? No, it's not. I'm not going to try and sell you guys a bunch of magic beans that it's no problem and anyone can do it. But if he's already done it once, and in his first year after switching from left to right was an all-pro at Tennessee for the Titans, I feel like if there's any man for this job, Jack Conklin's on the short list of players that can make this switch. So my question then becomes, let's say Conklin starts at left tackle and has a terrific game. Doesn't have to like ball out, but has a good game. Do they ever take Conklin off the field? Like you can put him back at right tackle and bench DaWan Jones? What if DaWan Jones has a great game at right tackle? Like this is a nice future problem for us to have, but I do think it's something worth monitoring. Like if Conklin and Jones both play very well on Sunday at their respective positions, what does that mean for Jed Wills' future on this team? Because he's a very expensive swing tackle at that stage. Now, if you are ready for a week 1 win, let's get ourselves to 600 likes. I noticed over the last week and a half or so, the most amount of likes we've gotten on a video is 558. I'd love to squash that number. So if you're still watching right now, prove it to me by liking the video. It's always great to find out who the end of the video crew is. So I'd really appreciate a big thumbs up on today's episode. I also got to give some love right now to the Brown and Orange Club members that sent in a $50 super chat during our watch parties throughout the preseason, and we'll get shout outs for the entire regular season. Tim Green, Mike Dibble, Jeremy Stallman, Slow But Sure, David Botner, Jared Brandt, James Harper, Papa T, Joseph DePorte, and Mike. Appreciate you guys for really going above and beyond to support this channel. If you want to get a shout out on a future episode, hang out with us during our watch parties, $50 super chat, and we'll add you to the club. Now, yesterday we got some Browns news that was somewhat unrelated to the actual football team itself, and it's the new stadium name, Huntington Bank Field. So I didn't really talk about it on yesterday's episode. I forgot what we had yesterday, but we had some decent news to go over. I wanted to do the preview for Browns versus Cowboys. I like the name. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. When it comes to stadium names, I've always looked at it this way. The best stadium names are the ones with no sponsor. I think we can all agree no sponsor is kind of the coolest way to get a stadium name. The next best is when you have a stadium name that the sponsor blends so perfectly with the team or the area that you don't even realize it's a stadium, like a sponsored name. So I feel like the Staples Center, so long for the Clippers and the Lakers, it just was such a smooth transition, or like such a staple that you just didn't even think of like the Staples company. You just thought of the Staples Center. So Huntington Bank Field kind of falls into the third tier, which is, it's a stadium sponsor, but it's not as hideous as other ones that are really long, like TIAA Bank Field for the Jags, Paycor. Like, that's just disgusting. Acrisure. Like, Huntington Bank, it's a nice name, Huntington Bank. So for me, it's in that third tier of stadiums where, yeah, it's a sponsor, and there's no hiding that it's a sponsor, but it could be a lot worse. It could be like Guaranteed Rate Field where the White Sox play. That's probably bottom three in all pro sports venues names because it's so long, so wordy, and it does not have a smooth, weaving ability with the team. That's my TED Talk on stadium names. Thank you for attending. Now, before we sign off, quick reminder, follow us on our new Instagram channel, Browns Report IG. I post content over there as well. So if you're on Instagram, hit us up, Browns Report IG. Now, for one of the last times of the 2024 offseason, since the season's about to begin, let's pick a card. I got producer Reed. Which card do you want to go with?
Since it's probably the last one, let's go with Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades. I'm going to go with the King of Spades. Just take one below. Oh my gosh. Jack of Spades. Damn. We were on the right train of thought. Jack of Spades. Damn. Okay. That will do it for us.
Jack for Jack Conklin.
Yeah, you're right. Now, that's a miss on our end. Hand up. That's a drop fly ball on our part. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.